get right underway. We'll start with the basics. First off is your aim. The two main methods you're going to be using is either looking straight down at your feet, or you're going to be looking down at your feet and to the side. The second one gives you more versatility because unlike looking down at your feet, which can only give you height, looking down to your side can give you much more distance to your jumps. So if you're going to try to cross a gap like this and you're going to look straight down, you're not going to get enough distance to go all the way across. Now, let's see if I can actually get back out of the water. Now, same jump, but I'm going to do the down to the side method. I get plenty of distance to get across it. You'll just have to notice that I didn't get much height going up, so rather than going really high up, I went really far over. Okay, now the keys you're going to be using are, of course, jump and fire. But depending on how much height you want, you'll also want to throw duck in there. So if you hit, say, just jump and fire at the same time, it's a decent amount of height. As soon as you throw duck in there, so you hit jump, duck, fire, get a lot more height. So depending on how much height or distance you want will determine what keys you're going to be using. But predominantly you're going to be using jump, duck, and fire almost all the time. Especially when you want to fly forward and get the extra speed, you're going to use duck. Your timing is another key factor in your rocket jumps, which will determine how much height and/or distance you can get. So, most people say, oh, I throw delays in all the time. Well, here's what happens when you put a delay in between your jumping and your firing. I barely have enough height just to get on this. That's jumping first, then firing. Now, if I throw duck in there, so hit jump and duck, and then fire, same thing. I barely have enough height to get over that. But if I hit all the keys at the same exact time, I get more than enough height to clear this. In fact, I get about double the amount of height that I got before. By default, you're a right-handed player, so you have to remember that your rockets are going to come slightly to the right of your crosshair. So if I look straight down and hit no movement keys and just do a rocket jump, I'm moving slightly over to the left because the rocket is slightly to my right. This can heavily affect your rocket jumps if you don't put your placement correctly, and for left-handed players, they'll notice it the most. For righties, we're going to swing down this way, which is, for us, the easiest, but lefties are going to be going down this way, to this side. So they got to aim really far over and hope that they can get enough distance, which is really, really hard, especially for me because I'm a righty. Valve now made it so you can switch your weapons over to the left side, so for all you lefty players out there, switch it over to the left, solve all your problems. You also want to pay attention to what keys you're hitting before your jump and during your jump. If I'm looking straight down, I don't really have to worry about it because all I have to do is hold forward. It's not going to affect the trajectory of my jump considering I'm trying to go forward. But if I'm doing the sideways method of aiming, or I'm aiming to my side, if I hold forward the whole time, it's going to push me off to the side because I'm holding forward, so I'm trying to move forward. In order to combat this, you have to remember where your straight line is. Because I'm trying to go this way, when I go sideways, I have to switch to using my strafe keys to stay on that straight line. So right as I'm going for the jump, I switch to my strafe key, and it fixes. It fixes my trajectory, so I'm still going in the direction I originally intended to. And right after I go airborne, I just let go of the strafe key and hold forward again. You have to build up your coordination, so you gotta keep practicing over and over again, but eventually you'll get used to it and you'll just stop thinking about what keys you're hitting. Also remember that the rocket merely amplifies whatever direction you're trying to go in when you fire. So if I just fire the rocket without hitting any keys, not even jump, I don't get anything whatsoever, just a small boost. Now I'll do the same thing, but I'll add jump. I get a lot more of a boost because now it's boosting my jump, but it's still not boosting forward. So now when I hit forward and jump and fire, I get a lot more because now it has much more to amplify. It's amplifying my forward momentum, it's amplifying my jump. At the same time, once I go airborne, I don't want to hit any keys that are going to try to push me in an opposite direction of what I'm trying to go in. So if I try to jump forward and then I suddenly hit backwards while I'm in the air, it'll stall me and I'll stop. I'll just come crashing to the ground in a straight line and I'm basically frag meat. You also want to work on gauging your height so that you know exactly how much you need before you even start. Like for a jump like this, I can do it without using the duck key, and it gives me just enough height to get right up there. If I use duck, it gets me enough height, but it might sometimes get me too much. The last thing you want is to blast yourself up really high and be a sitting duck for someone who has decent aim, like snipers, a soldier who's good at body shots, those type of things you want to avoid. If you still insist on using duck for a jump like this, do the sideways method and give yourself just enough to get over. It takes a long time to get used to, and you have to do a lot of rocket jumps before you get a feel for it, but eventually you won't really think about how much height you'll need, you'll just look and go. While not 100% accurate, this diagram should give you an idea of how you want to aim your rocket in order to achieve either height or distance. The blue dots represent you as a player, while the red dot represents the blast from the rocket. The upper left blue dot shows what happens when you aim almost completely straight down, with you getting a lot of height but not much distance. The one all the way on the right shows what happens when you aim at almost straight forward, where you get more horizontal distance but almost no height. So as you raise your aim from straight down to straight forward, you will slowly lose all of your vertical height and instead trade it for horizontal distance.